Hello. Hey, today is part 2 of The Legend of Hercules. Part 2. Boom! Of Mr. Hercules, the heroic hero of our stories. Let's find out what happened to poor Hercules after he was exiled from his beloved village and ridiculed for his humongous size and ferocious temper. Your learning target in all of these lessons is very simple. It's retell key facts and details from what was read aloud, from what I am reading to you right now. Let's get started. Oh, yeah, you have some vocabulary. The first word is accurate, factual, without error. Your next word is guidance. Guidance means the act of giving someone advice or guiding someone to a decision. After that, we have measurable. Measurable. Impossible to measure. Immeasurable. Immeasurable means like super big. Impossible to measure. And then below that, we have reputation. The general opinion of a person by the public or a certain group of people. If you have a good reputation, that means everybody thinks that you're pretty cool. If you have a bad reputation, that means they may not think so highly of you. Next word is trample. Stomp or beat down with the feet. Trample. Stomp or beat down with your feet. You get trampled, you get walked all over. You get kicked on, stomped on. All right, we're going to start with where we left off. Theseus, Hercules' good friend Theseus, recommended to Hercules that he solve his problem of getting angry. And so, as Hercules journeyed across Greece, he thought about what his friend Theseus had told him. You will never be free from your past until you have worked off your guilt and mastered your temper with your great strength. Let's expand the page here. There we go. A little bit bigger. There we go. You will never be free. You never be free from the past until you've worked away your guilt and mastered your temper and your great strength. Go ask Apollo, the god of wisdom and truth, how to do these things. And remember always, you have a friend who believes in you. Hercules traveled up into the mountains until he reached Delphi, where there was a famous temple built to honor the great god Apollo. In a cave behind this temple sat a priestess. When someone asked her a question, she would go into a trance as if she were asleep. And Apollo would speak through her. The words would come from her mouth, and with her voice, but the Greeks believed that they were Apollo's words. Hercules asked for Apollo's guidance, and the answer came back. Go to King Eurystheus and do as he commands. Thus, perhaps the most famous of Hercules' many adventures, King Eurystheus sent the hero out to perform the most difficult tasks that he could think of, 12 in all, and these daring deeds became known as the labors of Hercules. The first of these labors that King Eurystheus commanded Hercules to complete involved a large and dangerous animal. King Eurystheus was a very small man, and he paced nervously back and forth in front of his throne as he spoke to the huge Hercules, who stood listening. In another part of Greece, known as Nemea, the king began, there lives a dangerous lion. You, Hercules, shall subdue the lion so that he won't ever hurt anyone. I am told that the lion's hide is magical. No material known to man such as metal, stone, or wood, can cut the lion's skin. You will have to think of another way to stop it. Bowing, Hercules said, I do know how I can do this, but I do not know how I can do this, but I will try. However, as he left the throne room, he thought perhaps this story is not accurate. Perhaps the hunters will simply have not gotten close enough to shoot their arrows at the lion. But I will bring my own bow and arrows, and as well as a heavy stone club. Hercules journeyed to Nemea, and at last found the fierce animal out in the forest, sleeping in the midday heat. Hercules moved forward until he had a clear view of the beast. Then he drew an arrow from his quiver and set the end on a string. Drawing back the string, he took careful aim and then let go, but the arrow simply bounced right off of the lion. Its hide was indeed magical. The lion was unhurt, but it still felt the blow. It awoke and leapt to its feet, roaring with rage, and then charged Hercules. Throwing down his bow and arrows, the hero stood waiting, his heavy stone club in his hands. When the lion leapt at him, Hercules simply stepped to the side and let the lion sail right past him. Hercules struck the lion with his club, and which would have been powerful enough to knock down an elephant. But the Nemean lion, protected by its magical hide, did not suffer terribly from the impact. It only sank to the ground for a moment, stunned. The club, however, had shattered into 100 pieces. Knowing that in a moment the large cat would leap to attack again, Hercules turned and leapt upon the lion's back. Then Hercules reached forward and grabbed the lion's front paws so that it could not turn against Hercules. The furious beast rolled on its back on the ground and tried to shake him off, but Hercules' strength was too much, and he was able to subdue the lion. Catching his breath, Hercules thought, the report was true. The lion's hide protected it from my club and arrows. If I could wear it, it would provide me protection against swords and arrows. How can I possibly do this? After trying many ways to get the hide off of the lion, Hercules had a brilliant idea. He lifted one of the lion's paws from the ground and used the lion's own claws to cut the hide. So that is how Hercules slayed the Nemean lion and succeeded in completing his first of the 12 labors of King Eurystheus. King Eurystheus smiled at the large man in the lion's skin who stood before his throne. Hercules, said the king, I have another labor for you to attempt or try. I want you to bring me 3 golden apples of the Hesperides. This startled even Hercules. But, Your Majesty, those 3 magical sisters live beyond any land in which humans have ever traveled. According to the stories, in the middle of their garden is a tree from which there grow apples of real gold. The sisters keep the location secret, otherwise people would constantly trample the place to get the gold. How am I to bring you these apples if no one knows where they are or if they exist? The king shrugged. If it were easy, Hercules, I would not need you. Now go. So Hercules, who traveled throughout the known world, now set sail to an unknown world. He sailed west, and after searching in vain for several weeks, he thought there must be a better way to find Hesperides. Suddenly he grinned. Wait for a moment. I cannot find them myself, but I know where I find someone who might be able to help. You see, the Hesperides were the daughters of the biggest and strongest of all the giants, Atlas. The giants used to rule the world before King Zeus became king of the gods. After Zeus became king, he punished Atlas for fighting against him, and by having him stand and hold the entire sky on his massive shoulders. so that it would not fall down upon the earth. Hercules journeyed until he found a range of enormous mountains. In the middle of them stood Atlas, bent beneath the weight of the sky. Hercules shouted, "Hello, Atlas." Also, Atlas squinted downward, calling in a deep voice, "Who is there?" "It is I, Hercules. I've come to ask a favor." Then Hercules explained his mission to clear his reputation as a man of bad temper, ending with his request. "I hoped you might direct me towards your daughters and the garden." Atlas replied, "I would gladly do so, but my daughters made me promise never to tell where it is. I cannot break a promise, not even to you, Hercules. I would get you the apples myself, but I dare not set down the sky." Thinking for a moment, Hercules said, "I'm nowhere near your size, Atlas, but I know that I am strong. Perhaps I can hold the sky for you while you go and get the apples I need." Atlas stood unmoving for so long that now even his ideas moved slowly. Finally he agreed, warning, "Brace yourself, Hercules. Even you have never felt a weight such as this." Slowly the giant lowered himself to his knees and transferred onto Hercules' shoulders the weight of the entire sky and everything in it. Even Hercules, strong as he was, staggered a bit, but he found his balance and said, "I have it now. Hurry back, Atlas." The giant strode away in mile-long steps. For a long time, Hercules stood bent beneath the immeasurable load. At last, Atlas returned and showed Hercules the golden apples. But to Hercules' horror, Atlas told him, I have held the sky almost from the beginning of time. Until today, I could never set it down. Now I know someone else is strong enough to take over the job. I will take your apples to the king." Hercules did not like this idea at all, knowing how slowly Atlas thought. However, the hero answered, "I did not know I would be holding the sky for such a long time, Atlas. So I was not careful enough when I took it from you. There seems to be a planet rubbing against the back of my neck, and it's starting to hurt. I'm afraid that I might drop the sky. Before you go, could you please get the blanket from the back of my pack over there and slip it between my neck and the planet?" Atlas tried, but his hands were so large that he could not get the blanket out of the pack. So Hercules suggested, "Take back the sky long enough for me to hold the blanket to set the blanket in place." He handed the load back to the giant. As soon as Atlas held the sky once more, Hercules said, "I'm sorry, Atlas, but Zeus chose you to hold the sky. Thank you for bringing me the apples." "Oh," Atlas sighed, realizing Hercules had turned his own trick back against him. "I suppose it's only fair. Well, Hercules, come back and visit old Atlas again sometime." So Hercules took the apples to the king, completing another labor, and Atlas never again set down the sky. Hercules completed all 12 of his labors, and after defeating the Nemean lion and retrieving the golden apples, once he did, he was free to leave the service of King Eurystheus. He once again traveled all over Greece, completing many heroic deeds, but this time he was always thanked for them.